I think everyone always likes to look. That's very nice of you to say, thank you very much. Hopefully you'll be saying that again in 20 years' time.
It's always challenging adapting beloved material because fans really feel ownership over the characters and the stories. And they don't want to see that the movie doesn't turn out the way they imagined.
You know, it meant that I had to get into really good shape. I was also working with Mark Wahlberg, who is, you know, the sort of king of fitness.
No, not necessarily. I think, I really enjoyed working with Tom. I think he's very talented as an actor.
I think what I miss most about China is I missed the and it was amazing.
This ain't over. Hey, you still with me? Barely.
My brother believed that there was a final piece.
Wait, you know my brother Sam? What else aren't you telling me?
You have no idea who you partnered with.
Sully! Hurry! It's gonna take a little longer than I thought, kid.
So today we have great honor to invite Uncharted. Let's welcome Tom Holland, Mark Wahlberg, and director Ruben Fleischer.
请开始你的表演，这里是访问你想知道的都有。
Let's talk about the feeling of playing Nathan in this classic game IP this time. For this character, what is the biggest difference in the movie version?
Well, I think one of the biggest differences for us was that we were telling a different part of his story. When you have the pleasure of playing these games, you are sort of picking up the pieces with Nathan Drake as he is already a sort of well-established treasure hunter. But in our film, we are telling the story of Nate's first adventure, his initial meeting with Sully. So you are essentially getting somewhat of an origin story to a character that we all know and love.
So do you feel that your image doesn't match the image in the game?
No, I don't think so. I mean, obviously they're very different. You know, the character from the game is older and is played by a different person. So unless you were going to get someone to mimic the character from the game, I probably wouldn't have been the person to hire. But we made a creative decision that we wanted to have the film be a departure from what the game is, to give the audiences something fresh and new. I don't massively look like Nolan North, but there is some resemblance there.
Please use one word to describe Sully. And how do you understand your relationship with Nathan?
Mature. Sully is very mature. Complicated. Our relationship is complicated. I think early on, Sully's really determined to kind of lure Nate in and help him achieve his goals. But then I think he quickly realizes that he is very much like a little brother or a son. And he grows very fond of him. And then obviously he's conflicted because he would, like most people, do anything to find the gold. But I think the most important thing is to protect somebody who really trusts him and relies on him. So they form a great bond and a great team in the end.
Uncharted is an excellent and popular game IP all over the world. And what are the difficulties of adapting IP into film or television works?
It's always challenging adapting beloved material because fans really feel ownership over the characters and the stories. And they don't want to see that the movie doesn't turn out the way they imagined. And especially with a video game where you play the game, you feel like you're starring in the movie yourself, basically. This was a challenge, but also really exciting because it is such great source material. I mean, the games are full of just the most spectacular action set pieces and two great characters. So it made my job easy adapting it because there's so much great stuff there. The thing that we did, which I think was really smart though, is that we're telling a chapter of the story that doesn't exist in the games. Our Nathan Drake is a lot younger than the Nathan Drake in the games. He's played by Tom Holland, who's probably my favorite young actor in the world. And so being able to have him at the center of the movie and tell a chapter of the story that fans aren't familiar with from the games makes the movie all the more special.
There are many scenes of showing muscles in the film. Did you train for the movie?
Yeah, I trained a lot actually. It was very important to me to make sure that this character was believable in the things that he was doing. It meant that I had to get into really good shape. I was also working with Mark Wahlberg, who is, the sort of king of fitness. So it was a nice opportunity for me to pick his brains and to train as hard as I could.
As king of fitness, you have always portrayed a lot of tough guys on the screen and keep a good body shape. So do you think the image of tough guy must be linked to a good figure?
No, not necessarily. I think there are many different forms of a tough guy. I think a tough guy, the ultimate definition of a tough guy is the guy who, despite all the challenges that he may face in life, is really willing to go out there, work hard, and provide for his family, and always do the right thing. I think being physically fit is a very good thing. I'm health conscious, but no. And I've also seen, just when you talk about pure ability or talent as somebody who's physically tough, I think I've seen people who are very lean and guys who have a lot of muscles and are not very tough. So don't let the appearance or aesthetic fool you.
There are basically all kinds of fighting scenes in the movie, and how are those scenes happen? Like the scene on the plane.
Great question. I mean, it's really something I'm very proud of is the way that this action sequences turn out in this movie. The action is right up with Mission Impossible or James Bond. It's really unprecedented. It's unlike anything I've ever seen before. But shooting it was a real challenge. The plane scene you mentioned, we didn't actually shoot that in midair. We shot that in a parking lot, but we had these robotic arms that Tom had to navigate, and he's on a wire harness like 40 feet up in the air, jumping over these boxes. And then we used visual effects to make it seem like he's really hanging out of the back of the plane. But what made it especially exciting and fun for me is that Tom Holland is not only one of the greatest actors, he's also basically a stuntman himself. So as he's performing all the stunts, I don't have to hide who he is with some stunt guy's back. I can put his camera right on his face in a close-up while he's doing these death-defying feats. Cool. And you don't always have that option with an actor. Tom is just so extremely talented and capable physically that we could ask him to perform as if he was a stuntman while he's also giving this incredible movie star performance.
Are you worried that audience impression of you has been stuck on previous roles? And do you want to make some breakthroughs?
No, not really. I mean, I think I've been very cautious with my career while, playing Spider-Man and being in that kind of world, pushing myself and trying different things and working on different jobs. I did a film called Cherry, a film called Devil All the Time. I've done a film called Lost City of Zed, a few animation films here and there, which has been ways for me to kind of detach myself from the sort of behemoth that is the MCU. And Uncharted is just the next step in that chapter.
Look back the movies you have made before. Which one is your favorite and why?
That's hard to say. I've made a lot of movies, but I always have a tendency to gravitate towards the true stories, movies that have meaning. But, for me, I think, one of the true stories that I made is probably the most important. And a movie that I just made called Father Stu, which is very personal to me.
The film adaptation work of Uncharted has been through a long period, and there have been many changes from director to actor. Can you tell us the story of how you eventually became the director of this movie?
I made 2 movies back-to-back for Sony. Zombieland Double Tap and this movie called Venom, which I think came out in China and was very popular. Having worked with Sony when they were looking for a director for the movie, I had a great relationship with them. And Mark Wahlberg and Tom Holland were already involved, and they're 2 actors that I absolutely love and wanted to work with. So of course, when I read the script and I saw that it was this epic adventure, that this treasure hunting movie that reminded me of some of my favorite movies of all time, it was an easy answer to come aboard and direct the movie because it has such incredible action and such great humor and 2 incredible movie stars at the center of it.
How did you feel to work with Tom? How do you think he performed in the movie? How did your bromance come about?
I really enjoyed working with Tom. I think he's very talented as an actor. He's very young and has had a lot of success early on, but he's also very grounded. He comes from a good family. He's got a great work ethic, and he's very talented. So I think it made my job a lot easier. And again, I think the most appealing thing about the film is our relationship and the chemistry between us. Constantly giving each other a hard time like brothers do or best friends do. The relationship is really earned throughout the course of the film, our trust and our respect. and that bond is formed, and I think people really enjoy that and appreciate that.
How did your kids react when they knew that? Did they ask you to take some photo or something like that? I heard he has been to your house.
Yeah, Tom has been to my home. At first, they weren't that excited, but now that Spider-Man again has come out, they're a lot more excited about Tom now. I think it was one of those things where maybe they were just trying to be cool, but now they seem to be very excited about the idea of me working with Tom.
Mark had also auditioned for the role of Nathan earlier, but he ended up being Sully and Tom became to Nathan. How do you think they performed in the movie?
Nate and Sully in the games have an incredible banter where they go back and forth and they're telling jokes all the time. And so the tone of the relationship was established. And we were so lucky to cast Mark and Tom, who are just two of the funniest and most charismatic actors you could hope to work with. And then we also have, as our villain, Antonio Banderas, who's just one of my all-time favorite actors. So being able to have so much talent in these roles and be able to, create a new version of the characters and their relationships where we can really lean into the humor, lean into the personality, and because they are slightly younger from the ones from the games, we can make them distinctive in our own for the movie.
You have been to China several times before and you have experienced a lot of interesting Chinese culture.
Yes.
So what do you miss most about China? And if you come to China next time, what would you most like to do?
I think what I miss most about China is I miss the fans. I miss the energy that we get when we're there, I think the last time I was in China was for Avengers Endgame or Avengers Infinity War. I forget which one it was, but we went to Disneyland and we had a premiere there and the fans were there and it was amazing. It was electric. The environment, the enthusiasm from the fans, the love and support was really, really magical. So for me, the thing I miss most, and the food. I really like Chinese food.
当荷兰弟听到大家觉得他比实际年龄看起来年轻时，
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone always likes to look younger, and for me as an actor, it means that I can play younger roles for longer. That's very nice of you to say, thank you very much. Hopefully you'll be saying that again in 20 years' time. You won't be saying, wow, you look much older than you're supposed to look now.